Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy Emilio Marz and this is Marz Nation. I'm here with
Jaymes.
Jaymes. great female artist out here in the borough. She's out here doing big things. Matter of fact, you were on the news too, right?
I was.
You were on the news. And what was the segment?
They did a piece that I did where Miss USA, Miss America, and Miss Teen USA all held the 3 top national crowns.
Yeah.
Women of color. So very monumental moment in pageant history. It's never happened before.
That was pretty dope. And I was like, you're a full-time artist.
Yes.
Goals full-time.
You can do it. I
can't
believe
do
in
it.
you.
Jesus Christ, I'm gonna be there right now. But she's a very great artist in the Greensboro community and also a great artist outside of our community as well. So, but what we're going to talk about today is how to price your work. I did a piece and people were asking like, yo, how much? And I don't really do too much paint projects. And I'm like, I don't know how to price my paintings. So I reached out to Jesca. I was like, yo, Jesca, how much should I charge for this? And she went way higher than what I thought it was worth. And I was like, oh gosh. And now I know the caliber how much her paintwork costs.
I have a few different methods of pricing my work. I know that's probably one of the biggest struggles artists have is, what do I charge for this? You know, I don't want to charge too much, but I want it to sell at the same time. And I think that it's important that first of all, you value yourself as an artist. That you realize that when somebody buys something, they're usually buying it because they connect with it. And so you're reaching somebody on a whole different level than, you know, if they're going to Target and they find some, you know, cute artwork that's mass produced, they're like, oh, you know, I can pay $50. So we as artists are like, that they can go and get, you know, artwork at Hobby Lobby or Target or whatever, and you know, so how do I compete with that? And you're trying to reach a different market of people.
Right.
People that go and buy that are not really buying it because they're connecting with the piece.
Yeah.
They're just buying it because it looks good for their kid's bedroom or for their living room or whatever they're buying it for. So when I create something, I hope that I will connect with somebody on a more emotional level. So I keep that in mind when I'm pricing it. Also keep in mind like what kind of materials that you're using. You know, I personally like the gallery wrapped canvases, so I factor in, you know, the expense of those. And then I do try to factor in a little bit of the time, but I also try to keep it uniform. So, you know, if I create a piece that's like, this is a 16 by 20, usually I try to stay around,
It's pretty thick.
Yes, these are really, they're expensive canvases, but I always try to get them on sale. Michael's usually does like...
You ever go to Hobby Lobby?
No, because Michael's usually has a better deals. When I always try to catch them when they're on that like buy one get 2 free or 70% off. So like
you have 70% off? I'm gonna go to Hobby Lobby for it.
Yeah.
So, blinded.
Teach you something.
Blinded by Hobby Lobby?
Yes, get the Michael's app and like you can keep up, and sometimes I don't even advertise the sales. It'll just be like on the app and you're like, oh snap, I need to go and grab some of these. So like I want to say that this canvas, and you can see that it's nice and thick and like it's wrapped, they're usually, I want to say like $30 or $40, and then you would get 70% off of that. So like, yeah, so like when you have a, you know, a nice thing, you can be like, oh well, it's on a $40 canvas.
You didn't want to pay $1,000 for this,
right? So I usually, this right here, I have it marked for $300.
Usually the ones I get is like, it's about like a inch thick.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with those. Actually,
it's so much better on an inch thick canvas.
It's a mental thing. So when they see that, they're like, oh, that's fancy.
It's like if I see your piece, like, oh, I definitely know Jesca because her canvases is like 5 inches off the wall. It's like it's 3D. It's
right. Some people think that they need to frame a piece of artwork, and so if I do the thicker canvases, I feel like if you're spending that much money on a piece of artwork, you don't necessarily feel like you need to get it framed. I don't know. And again, this is all me and my head. And you can still, I think, get frames for these, but
I'm like, oh wow, I think it's already.
Yeah, so I mean, it already like, you know, stands up from the wall and everything. It displays nicely.
Right.
So usually the 16 to 20 range, I say I would price mine. Like I said, this is market 300. And then I do kind of factor in like sizing up. So like a 20 by 24 is like, depending on what I've got on there, like 350 to 400. And then like I want to say that a 20, I think you asked me, 24 by 30 is like 475, 500 range.
Right.
Like if you think of how many hours you have in it, and you take out your supplies, and then you think to yourself, how much,
and all that.
Yeah, and then you think, how much do I want to make an hour? Okay, a lot of people are working jobs. How much do I make an hour there? Well, I want to make more doing this an hour than I do at my job.
Right.
So, you know, if you divide that by however many hours, you know, I personally like to make $25 to $50 an hour.
I think that's about right.
And then too, people are like, oh, well, you know, if you have somebody that's really into art, they understand, like, you're not just paying for that, you're paying for someone's talent. But yeah, it's so difficult. It's an emotion, you know, buying art is an emotional thing. You don't just, you know, you're connecting with it somehow or another. So like, and that's the kind of client that I want. I want someone that's like, oh my gosh, like this makes me feel happy, or like I totally agree with what message you have on there.
It's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling. And then don't be afraid to like sit on artwork for a while. Really good example would be my favorite pieces finally sold last month. It was the Icons and Bubblegum, the Barbies.
You finally sold both of them?
Yes. I've had them for almost a year. And I had them set at a price that, like, I wanted them to sell for.
They're not going nowhere.
Right.
Unless it's going to be this.
Unless they're paying me what I want. Because, like, at that point, I was like, I love these so much, I would totally be fine if they were in my house.
Dope pieces.
And then a collector, it was actually a collector that has, like, 4 other pieces of mine. And he's like, I'm
and you said you got a fan, too?
I do. Yeah, I've got this lawyer that's local that has, I want to say he's got like 5 pieces of mine now. So yes. And then when you find those people, man, they are the greatest, because then they're always like, what do you got new?
Huge sports. Always have good supporters.
Yeah.
Pricing your artwork. It's hard, it's challenging, but never be afraid. Know your worth.
Know your worth is like the biggest thing.
Very big, because me being a digital artist, I throw artwork out like it's nothing. But I do take a lot of time doing it. So I'm like, and I am pricing it at a certain price, or if I'm doing logos, I am pricing it at a certain price. Even though I can probably get it out within a couple, like, fastest I've done, I think the longest it'll ever really take me, if I'm actually focused on one piece, it'll take me probably like 2 hours or 3 hours max. If it's that detailed. Quickest, I can throw it out within like an hour or so.
Right.
But still, the time it took for me to do that, and plus, I'm not like all the other digital artists. Actually, like, I have programs where I can do it on the computer, but I'm always on the go, so I do everything on my phone.
Right.
So I'm always drawing with my Samsung Galaxy Note 9. I'm good at 10C. But I draw on a little screen, and I do it pretty quickly, and it's pretty good quality. Like, all these pictures on the wall right here, except for those two, I did it in my phone.
Wow.
So I'm like, it's possible, but never be afraid to price your work at a certain price, especially when you feel like it's worth that much.
Exactly, and you're not, you know, people are always like, oh, well, if it doesn't take you that long, why charge that much? But how long did it take you to learn to be able, like, you gotta factor that in. It took me however many years to get to this point. And then, again, you're paying for a talent that is uniquely you. Nobody else can create what you create. Nobody else can do what I do. They can do their version of what I do, but, like, it's your artist DNA.
Right.
So, and that's something that...
Hope that.
I also, personally, now this is me, you know, it's what I recommend. It's all about creating this persona that is you as an artist. And I know that sometimes you do that, so don't get offended when I say this. I don't believe in running sales. I don't believe in discounting my work. And the reason for that is that you want to, there was an artist that quoted this on Instagram, and like when she said it, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna pull it up. But she says, consider your collectors and be responsible for their investments. Don't devalue what they have purchased from you by selling artwork for less. Because if somebody buys a piece full price and then 2 months later, something that's similar to what you did, they're like, oh, why
So I should wait for the sale.
Yeah, I should have waited for the sale. Or you will get people that will sit around and wait for a sale instead of, paying full price. And I'm like, but if you just didn't do that, like, people already like your work.
Right.
They're gonna do it, but they're gonna sit around and wait for that sale that comes on because they're like, oh, well, I know so and so.
So it's a pro and a con having sales.
There is, but I know digital art's like a different thing. So
Yeah.
I understand the difference between the digital art running sales on those and like your specific pieces that you've already created and they're done.
Now there's some that I've done and I'm like, okay, I'm not digital art on this one. But usually if I do run my sales, I'll run my sales on the Get Animated.
Okay.
The Get Animated one. Because like, it was ever since I did a picture for like one dancer, it's a pretty famous dancer, Fiction, I did one piece for him. He loved it and it blew up. That brought some clientele.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people can't afford my stuff. So I was like, all right, you know what? I was like, at first I was like, once a month I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. So I feel like that's what I feel like. Yeah, people were kind of waiting on it.
Yeah.
So I did kind of calm down on it, but I still do it.
Yeah.
But not as much now.
Well, it's like the digital art too. If it's something that you feel like you can knock out and get done, and you don't feel like mad at yourself when you go to create it, that's a different. Yeah. So I'll track that a little bit because that's a little bit of a different thing. Now, if you wouldn't do that if you were doing like a logo or if you were creating some like big, like if you were creating that piece, you're not gonna go, I'm gonna do that for $30.
Hey, no, bruh, this thing is 30 by 24.
Right.
$30, Sam Club? No.
Right. And if somebody is like,
Ross?
they feel like that's too much, that's just not the client.
So you can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You can go to Ross,
Yeah.
Walmart. And do you have any people like walk through like galleries like, oh yeah, that's a Jesca piece right there?
I hope so. I want to get to that.
I went for that too. I'm like, cause I bartended at the hotel and he was like, I showed my artwork. He was like, yo, we need to get you famous. I was like, can you do that? Like, I don't know if I can, but this is a really good piece. And he's like, what you want to do is go to galleries and the shows and people would recognize your work. And it's like how you say, like, people know your work and if anything that resembles it, but it's not it, they'll know.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh yeah, it's almost like a Jesca piece because you can see how the lines are and the background, you can feel the background, the warmness of the background. It's a Jesca piece. This isn't that, but it's something like that.
But there,
Yeah.
Like style.
SketchUp?
I do not use SketchUp. I don't know much about it.
What?
Is it as safe as
What? Yes. And it's quick.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, a friend of mine was like, oh, you usually use SketchUp? I use SketchUp, I use PayPal, and Square, so you use Venmo, you should use this, you should use that. You're artists, you should use
all of them. Yeah.
Because he was the one telling me about the art piece too. And it was like, I told him, like, how much should I sell the art piece for? I was like, how much are we going to sell for it? I was like, I don't know, like, 250.
Right.
He's like 500.
Right.
I was like, 500? I've never sold 500. Like, motherfucker, you will today.
You do it, and then when that happens, you're gonna be like, oh my god.
And he's like, once you sell for 500, give me 100. Because you know where to do that. I was like, you right. So I
tip you on that.
That was my boy, Dom Sebastian, Doc, Greensboro community dancer, good dancer. I'll shout you out because I might get $100 if it does sell for that much. Overall, like, this was good. Now I have a good visual of how I would like to price my art pieces, time, what my worth is, skill, all that matters, and 30 years experience.
Yeah.
30 years of experience of learning how to do this since I was able to pick up a pencil.
Right.
All those are factors. All right. So that's what we're going to end it on right there. If you have Instagram or what else do you have?
I have Instagram. It's at theartsy_siren is my Instagram. And then you can also find me on the web, jesscajaymes.com. That's JESCAJAYMES.com. So you can check out my work there. Facebook is the Artsy Siren as well. So yeah.
Are you still using that logo?
Yeah, yes, I'm working on it. He did a logo for me. I gotta figure out like letterhead and all that fancy stuff.
Yeah,
so it was very nice. So, yeah, like again, artist supporting artist.
Well, that's all we got for today. It's boy Emilio Marz, and this is Marz Nation. Over and out. Peace.